Welcome to Keeping It Real with Jenn Godfrey. Well, and when did that start? Would you say that some of that started with your sobriety, or was that before your sobriety?
No,
where you started to really take care of
yeah. So I was captain of my track team, cross country team, and all that kind of stuff in high school, and had a couple of college offers to run. And I remember I got kind of tired of running every day, and I called my mom and dad, and I was like, "Are we poor?" And they're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "I'm asking. The only way I get to go to college, do I have to run?" And they said, if you live off campus and, you're willing to get a job and kind of help, like we can kind of help you with tuition. And again, in the late 90s, going to college wasn't that bad. And it's not like it is now. I mean, it's even more expensive, So fortunately, I didn't have to run in college and do that deal. But I've always been into fitness. It was another outlet for me. It was a huge self-confidence booster for me. I don't mind team sports, but I like individual sports more because I want the weight of it on me. I want the discipline to fall on me. And, my buddies still today, they ask me, they're like, "So are you one of those freaks that like wakes up every morning and says, 'Damn it, I cannot wait to get to the gym'?" I'm like, no, but I know that I have to do it. So I just do it. You know what I mean?
I'm a certified fitness instructor, and that did not happen by choice, by the way.
Yeah.
I took a cycle class, and I have never taken a cycle class. And this was back in like 2014 or whatever, when Soul Cycle and the cycling was like really big. And all my friends
Peloton was blowing up.
Yeah. Oh, before Peloton, this was like Soul Cycle, like the big cycle bars and stuff.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, it was going off. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go do a cycle class, and I'm going to go by myself because all my friends do it and they're good and they're probably going to make fun of me. Like you, I'm one of those people. I'm always dropping in, whether it's with my horse or whatever, but I'm usually always by myself because I really like to just have the freedom to say, this isn't my gig. Like, I don't like you guys. No disrespect, but I don't feel the vibe here. I don't really feel comfortable. I'm leaving. Or I kind of feel like I have that kind of wandering type of personality where I show up and I'm here and then I'm gone. Whatever.
Yep.
So I did a class by myself and I sat in the front row because, like you, I'm like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm committed. And I've never done this. So I got to be able to watch what they're doing, and I got to be able to like try to keep up and whatever. And I'm pretty athletic. I played tennis and all the sports. I was a gymnast and stuff growing up. But long story short, after the class, I had the instructor come up to me and she said, where do you teach at? Or have you done this? Or she's like, have you been doing this a long time or something like that? And I was like, no, this is my first class ever. And she went and got the manager of the gym, and they're like, you need to get her. She needs to start working here. So I, by default, became a cycle instructor, and it held me accountable. I won't say that I loved it because it was scary for me because I had to pick my playlist and my music. And I really like the old school rap mashups and heavy metal, but like with the good pop, like beat to them, and like just different, types. I'm not into some of the other music they play. So I would have to put all my playlists together. So on my way to work, I would put all my playlists together for the week, and I would teach twice a week. But it was awesome. And people, you must love it. And I'm like, no, but I'm good at it. And it's an outlet. And it's not like a money because you don't get paid a lot, but it was accountability. That's why I did it, because I knew if I didn't get certified and I didn't teach, I wouldn't keep going back. And that's the type of person I am. If I'm going to do something, I have to kind of be more of a leader role and kind of lead into it head on, or I feel like I'm just going to be like, it's all right. I did it and I don't like it. So
no, you're right.
I definitely identify with everything you're saying.
Yeah. And, that's the other thing too is, how you hear a lot of motivational speakers where they talk about, it's a matter of stacking up small wins. And that's how you gain traction, you gain momentum. And they're not wrong. But my spin on that is I have to be disciplined in everything that I do in my life. I'm very methodical. And the more disciplined I can be with more tasks, it makes me be more disciplined with everything in life. So it kind of is the same thing with, the small wins and gaining momentum and traction.
Mm-hmm.
I do that with discipline. And, the people that are like, man, I'm just looking for that motivation to start a gym routine. And I'm like, good luck. You'll never get it. Because
no.
Motivation is fleeting and motivation is fake, but discipline is constant. That's every day and that's in you. So if you're disciplined, you don't need motivation. And some people get it. Some people don't understand, my analogy for that, but I attribute to everything that I've done in life, success, starting companies, any accomplishment I have, I can almost say 70% of that comes from fitness and the gym, physical activity. A strong body creates a strong mind, or, motion creates emotion. And that's been my constant. It's always been my release for everything. When, I had a shitty dad growing up, and I felt like I was being treated unnecessarily, poorly, or treated unfairly, I could always go to the gym and kind of work out my stress and gain my confidence there. And the very last thing that my father said to me before he passed away is he said, we had our talk, we closed we had some closure in some things. And of course he wanted to talk about his will and, all that kind of stuff. But I was turning to walk away and he said, hey, he's like, I got one more thing to talk to you about. And I'm like, shit. I've kept my composure. I'm not crying yet, but here it comes. Mm-hmm. And he said, you know how I always gave you shit about, always eating good shit and going to the gym and exercising and all that? And I said, yes, sir. And he's like, I probably should have done that a little bit more myself. Cause he died at 67. He was pretty young. That was kind of another one of those reminders to me as to why I do it and why I've implemented that lifestyle into my kids. All of my kids are runners. They love it. My daughter, she wakes up every day and runs 4 miles before work every single day. And it's awesome to see that she's adapted to that. And at first it was kind of like, oh, it's fun, because I think all kids got to try some sports. But it was cool to see them keep with it and understand it, right? And want to do it. And my youngest son is the one that I cut up with the most. And, I went into his room the other day and I was flexing. And I said, hey, don't be skipping any workouts. You have a reputation to uphold. And I'd be damned if one of my kids messes up my reputation. And he's and he knows that I'm giving him a hard time. But there's a little bit of seriousness to it as well. And where I just said, hey, this is what we do. And I met my wife at the gym. That's where we met. Yeah. So
when did you meet your wife? How old were you when you were there?
So this past fall, we celebrated 25 years married.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. Yeah. I think we dated for like 8 months, got engaged, and then we were engaged for like a year and a half or something like that, But yeah, it's, I remember my buddies used to say, oh man, you got to meet a woman in church. And I'm like, well, I met one at the gym. That's pretty damn close.
Yeah. Well, I think that it seems to be kind of like a church to you, because it's motivating and where you get your, everyone gets their release, and you don't have to go to a church to get that. And I'm not saying church is bad or not to go, but yeah. You would connect in different places. And it sounds like to me, just from our conversations,
well, it showed me she was committed to something.
Yeah. And that's something that's important to you. And it's a lifestyle. I feel like that's huge for me. It's like, I'm not sober. I don't really yes, I am sober, but like, I don't categorize myself. I hate like boxing things in, like I wouldn't say I'm a cowgirl or a surfer or whatever, I just say I'm active and it's a lifestyle.
I'm not some psychopath animal killer. Like, I
No,
love
no.
rescue animals. I love pets. You know what I mean? Like, there's a
You have a
disconnect.
passion and it's a sport. I mean, it's the same thing. You do I mean, just did, like I said, cutting the labels right now, like that is something, a category, a hunter by sport and trade that you do, but that doesn't mean that you're like, you're out there like trying to kill every animal. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like people will take 0 to 100 really quick. So we'll squash
There
that
you
right
go.
here.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I definitely don't think that. I would, and I don't think anybody listening to this, and there's no
Good.
activists and PETA people that need to come on here. And, everybody has their own things and we
Yeah.
don't judge anybody at all. But no, and I think that's great what you do and what you've accomplished, and your entrepreneurial spirit where you have businesses, like you said, you've grown them, you're still working, I just think it's really motivating, and you have grit, and that's what keeping it real is all about. You have a story, you have a lot of shit that has been packed up, and you guess what? You're talking about it, and you're a great guy. You have 3 kids, your kids are motivated, they're in college. I mean, you really broke the mold, from what your dad was saying and how, and I feel like that's all we can do as parents. And I would never consider myself an influencer. I really don't. And people go, "Oh, you're an influencer." I'm like, no, I'm not an influencer at all. Like,
Right.
if I am an influencer at all to anybody, I would say it's just to be a good person and live a healthy, better lifestyle than you had and that you want. Because especially if you have kids, and set a better example, because our parents all need grace. I mean, we all have a story, and they all have a story too. So it's hard to sit here and say, oh, when you talk to people, and I have a lot too, and there's a lot of trauma and stuff. But when we think about it, it's like we only are as good as what we were taught, and our parents were only good as what they were taught. And as much trauma and damage and things that we might have gone through growing up, like, I don't know, you look like you're doing pretty well. I feel like I'm doing well. And I feel like, breaking the mold is so important, and setting the example to just go out and live your best life. And that's all we can do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, for sure.
everyone's going to judge what we do anyways. I mean, you're online. I'm going to link all your stuff, but to me too, I'm like terrified.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to lie, Johnny. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a little nervous, because I'm really I'm very outgoing, and I love talking to people and hearing other people's stories. And I feel like people they kind of misengage who I am, because they think I like to share my life. And it's like, no, I don't share my personal stuff at all. If you look at my Instagram, I share vacations, like things with but I just am I'm actually really quiet, I feel like, for having an outgoing, like, extrovert personality, but I'm also very introverted. So it is a little scary to have the platforms too, because there is the judgment. So I'm trying to deal with that too, because we all get it.
Oh,
we all deal with it.
Having the show, it's like, it's like what is it? The Joe Rogan thing. He always says, post and ghost. Don't read the comments. But, there for a while, I was always reading all the comments, and it was just some keyboard warrior living in his mom's basement.
They tend to do that. They like to go at it. The miniature pincher actually is the one that bosses the German Shepherd.
I've seen it many times. It's always the little dog. Yeah.
The keyboard warriors, it's the worst, because and then if you go and you look at their page, it's like most of the time it's like
they've accomplished nothing.
Yeah. Or they're overweight and they're miserable, and you're like, hey, I'm working out, I'm doing good. Like, I'm sorry you're mad, but go away. And I'm getting better about that, because I try to just stay so positive. But I'm working on that with this, because I really feel like your story is important. I feel like sharing the excitement, the grit, and really the businesses that we've created in our personal stories and the journey is so important, because that's what we don't see on the social media.
Well, and
I would have never known who you are. And it's important to know that you're a great guy. You've done so much good for our country. You've kept streets safe. You've done so much for community. Like, and for someone to judge you because of one label that they think, you know, you really, I really hope people listen so they can hear and understand you are human, you have kids, like you've been through a lot of shit, and like, you know, we all just are doing the best we can. So
yeah. Well, and you know, I've been pretty transparent, you know, on the business side of things. In 2019, I lost everything. I had $7 in my checking account. One of my companies that I sold, there was, you know, like a page 17 fine print clause, and they got me, you know. It was one of those situations where I had a massive buyout bonus as long as I stayed for 3 years after I sold a company. And they closed the doors of the company at 2 years, 11 months, and 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So I lost everything. I ended up having to short sell my house. And
what year was it?
2019.
Okay.
And that's when I went out on the road and started my nomadic photography, content creation, you know, marketing business. And because I was like, oh man, I'm not relying on anybody. This is just going to come down to me. And was able to, it took a couple of years and was able to climb out of that and get back on my feet again. But, you know, and that's the other thing I point out. Like, I really don't try to be the person that toots my own horn, but sometimes I feel like I have to make the point that I'm trying to make is that would have broke a lot of people. Like a lot of people would have never rebounded from that. And I say that to people to tell them like, but you can, you know, like you can rebuild what you started. Like I walked away from a police career when I was 37 years old, 38 years old. And people thought I was nuts. They're like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you're not a spring chicken anymore. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I might run for president in 5 years. Like, what you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I got over the
you probably
fear.
could now.
Yeah. I just,
I
got over the fear of death a long time ago, but I have a constant fear of dying before I get to do everything I want to do and everything I want to accomplish. And that's what drives me today. And not all of them are money motivated, you know? So I still have a lot of goals. There's a lot of things I want to do. And, you know, I want to be a good example for my kids and I want to make sure I give them all the tools that they have. I want to be the best husband, you know, that I can be. I haven't always been perfect, but none of us are. And I've tried to give myself a little grace and say, okay, don't be so selfish. It's okay to open up. And, you know, but I was always so business driven and focused on what I needed to accomplish that I probably wasn't always the most caring about what do they need, you know, to make sure that they have all the options and things available to them and whatnot. So I've gotten better with that over the years and I can always be better. And that's the other thing.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Sure.
Okay. So are you actively in a sobriety? Are you in like AA or some sort of a program?
Okay.
No. Did you ever walk through the steps or do any sort of inventory or anything like that?
No. So I'm an Aries. And if anybody is into the Ouija board and horoscopes, we have this uncanny ability that when we're done, we're done. Whether it's a human, a relationship, or whatever. When I'm done, I'm done. They're dead to me. That is dead to me. To test this, when I quit tobacco, I chewed. And so what I did was the day that I quit, I went to the store and I bought one last fresh can and I set it on my nightstand for 1 full year. So it was the last thing I saw and it was the first thing I saw every single morning. And I did it for pure torture. But I just wanted to test myself. Like, let's make this really damn difficult. And I never touched it. And same thing with alcohol. I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I never thought about it. I've never needed that. And I'm also one of those people that I don't like to talk about emotions. I would just rather compartmentalize it until I die of a heart attack someday. That's just me.
I'm glad. I'm really glad you said that. Okay, so I know we're going long here, but I wanted to bring this up because we're going there. But I think it's not. I mean, there's a lot of people that need a program. Okay, so if you need AA, if you need treatment, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. And I'm all about doing whatever individually that person needs, right? You're different than me.
Oh, yeah,
I'm different than whoever else. And for me, my issue was drinking. I didn't like the way I felt when I drink. And I was kind of like you. I was able to make a decision and be like, this is not good anymore. I looked in the mirror. I kind of saw the devil and I thought, holy crap, I'm done. Like this is not going to kill me, and it's not going to I'm not going to go under. So I did work the steps. So I'm really grateful that I did that because I feel like that was really good for my confidence. I was able to, like you said, you don't want to compartmentalize emotions. And I do think the steps are really good to work for anybody, sober or not. I think that even if AA or not, I really do. And why I'm bringing this up is because therapy is really hard. I think that from what I've been told, and there's nothing against therapy, I'm not saying I haven't been or whatever, but therapy brings up shit that we have packed a lifetime trying to kind of get over. And sometimes I feel like when you do therapy, it can kind of make things a little bit worse. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't know that therapy is bad or whatever, but I'm saying I do kind of have more. I would rather go on my horse and go on a horseback ride. I would rather go and just have like a badass, like 15-mile, like hardcore ride, like up in the cliffs, going through the mountains and like connecting with nature, than sit down and talk to a therapist about shit that I tried to get over 20 years ago. That's like not serving me anymore. And it's actually going to piss me off even more to bring it up because I don't really want to talk about it, like, so I agree with that statement that you power kind of go down. But what I am saying is that why I brought that up is because you said that you're doing the best that doing the best you can. And I do think that by being sober and just accomplishing and starting over and having that mindset that most people don't have, I've heard, okay, I'm not going to say they always say, I've heard that people in sobriety, if you're able to get sober, no matter how you do it, whether it's program, whatever, most people that do get sober are more likely to become more entrepreneurs and have more of a better, my English is bad. I'm talking like my children now. They're going to have a better path because they take their lessons with them and they don't give up. Because if you can give up a substance, alcohol, an addiction, whether it's gambling, sex, whatever it may be, and you can put that passion and move it forward, I really do think that you're kind of unstoppable and you can and you should do everything that you want to do.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of correlations to that. Like what led to my alcoholism was a release and a trauma and maybe needing to be a little more self-confident in myself. And everybody's like, John, you're the most cocky son of a bitch I've ever met in my life. You're a very confident person. How can you possibly say that drinking made you feel loose? And I said, no, drinking made me feel more like everybody else. And
relatable. You were more relatable, right? Because it's so sociably acceptable, right?
Exactly.
And you, even now when you don't drink, I mean, now you have the table turned, right? You do drink and people go, shit, you kind of like acted like an asshole or this wasn't great.
Yeah.
And now you don't drink and they're like, well, you weren't that bad when you did drink. Maybe if you just didn't have so much, you would be better. Or, and it's like, pick a lane. Like, I'm just not doing it.
Well, and you see it all the time, somebody who's very intelligent will dumb down to their audience to feel like they fit in more, to be accepted, by their crowd, and or no different if your idea is, I want to entertain this class of friends. Well, I got to dress like them. I got to talk like them. So I think it became like a chameleon scenario for me, where I'm like, well, everybody else is drinking, so I'll just get fucking hammered too, and I'll be the wild, crazy guy. What's John going to do next? I don't know. And then eventually I just hit this point in my life where it was like across the board and everything. And I'm like, no, because again, people a lot of times would look at me and say, and I get it, I'll be 48 next month. This isn't a cocky thing. I don't look like most 48 years old. People that are 48 years of age. I grapple and get on the mats with 20-year-olds all the time.
Well, you're a badass and you take your health seriously. And I think that that's a testament to what you do. I mean, people don't. I'm 44. Yeah. I'll be 45 soon. And I don't do anything. I don't know if you can tell in here, but I look at 20-year-old girls these days. I'm not going to lie, John. And I go, what the heck? Yeah. You look older than me, because they go and they do all this stuff to their faces. I don't judge, but I'm like, dude, I'm 44 and I don't even do that stuff. And I'm not saying when I'm like 60, I might not do a little here and there, because I am a female and we all can be vain. But I think if you take care of yourself, your body's a temple, right? If you take care of it.
Yep. And I think there's a lot that goes along with that, where a lot of times I would be drinking and I'm like, hey, now they feel like I'm just like them. They don't have to look at me any differently. Because a lot of times I would show up with somebody that didn't know me and they would see me with a Bud Light or something. And they're like, oh, what is going on here? You're going to ruin your workout. You're going to get off the keto, you know what I mean? Whatever. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ. But so I think a lot of times for my drinking, it was more of a fit in thing anyways. And there's a lot of business deals that I closed at the bar. A lot of business deals got closed at the bar. But
that's the most common thing when you're drinking and you're sitting there and everyone's best friends. And I even see it now. I mean, you will, I always thought the Mean Girls in high school, right? Have you seen the movie Mean Girls or whatever? Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, stop drinking and then just go try to hang out with people and see how they treat you. Because that's how kind of people treat me, I feel like, because I don't drink sometimes. And I'm going, I would give you a seat at the table if you would be nice to me. But because you guys are judging me, guess what? Fuck you. Yeah. Okay, bye. Now I'm going to, I'm never mean to anybody, but I'm not going to give you my time of day, I see that a lot. And I hear that from a lot of men and women, that when they quit drinking, it's not we all change, our mindsets, our goals change, right? But the people start treating us differently.
Yeah. And that's what happens too. When I stopped drinking and I had that clarity moment where I said, no, I don't want to fit in. I'm not just drinking so I'm socially acceptable to them. The problem is it didn't stop there. It started happening with brands that I was working with. I'm like, these guys are a bunch of douches. They're a bunch of fake wannabes. They're not even really that good of hunters, but because they're drunk.
Wait, are you talking about because you're not drinking and they're drinking and you're promoting their brand? No, and you don't want to drink?
No, I'm saying that I stopped drinking because I was like, I'm not being real to myself, and I don't want to be like, I was kind of faking my chameleon, right? And but then once I had that clarity, then I started looking at a lot of other areas of my business life and personal life where I'm like, this person's not even that good of a hunter, but because he's the crazy party animal and he seems popular on social media, he's getting this big promotion deal that I feel like I should have got based on merit, not on. And so when, earlier we kind of talked about, I think before we were recording, about transactional relationships in the business world. It's so frustrating for me when a new marketing director comes in and they're a self-serving marketing director, and they end up giving the deal to somebody who's going to reciprocate something personal for them on the back end. And they're really just they want to make themselves popular. And I'm like, guys, I made a post about this a couple of months ago. I have 5 people in my life that I talk to on a almost daily basis, or at least text daily. Those 5 people combined don't even fucking have 7,000 followers on social media, because my friends, I'm not using them for personal gain. Those five people, they can do nothing for me financially in the business world, but they're my friends because they're my fucking friends. You know what I mean? And you see so many of these people in the business world, they're like, oh my God, I was hanging out with so-and-so this weekend. No, you weren't. You were in the same room as them. Like you're grasping at coattails
at a paid event. And it's like, no, you're not friends with each other. You don't even know. That's why this is where keeping it real is, because I have gotten people that I don't know that contact me, and they're like, oh, and then I get people that contact me and they go, oh, look at you. You're international. All of your followers are from Asia or here or there. And I'm like, 'cause I fucking travel. Okay. Like, guess what? How many followers do you have? I don't give a shit if all my followers are in freaking Mexico or Hawaii or wherever.
Correct.
There's people that actually care and they want to see what I do. And if I can get to like 2 or 3 of those people in a positive way and make them happy, then that's great, you know? And I'm not on here. I'm not affiliate marketing. Oh, look at the lip balm I'm trying on because I'm trying to sell someone else's product. Okay. I'm trying to help people create their own path to show them like, look, this is what you can do if you stay in the right lane and you are true to yourself, your values. And if you people that ask me, how do you travel? How do you do all this stuff? It's like, I fucking work, you know, like it's not easy. And I do it sober. I don't do it with help. My horse, like I board my horse, thankfully, at a great place, and they're really good there. But I ride my horse, you know, I do it. And my horse isn't perfect. He's kind of rude. I would say most people don't want to get on him, but he's great. He's a goat. We get on and we go. Okay. Like it's what I do. And if I can motivate anybody, then do it. But I relate to what you're saying, because now we belong to a country club and we're not members there because it's like we were trying to be fancy. We moved to Arizona in the like beginning of a global pandemic. We have no family. We're running businesses and we were like, oh my gosh, like we can't find daycare. What are we going to do? And our realtor was like, oh, by the way, there's a golf club. And we were like, why didn't you show us this place? But we didn't know where we moved. We just wanted to get out where we were. Long story short, I mean, I'm a member of this club and it's a great club. I really love the club. The staff is amazing there. But the women there have been horrible to me. I will say most of them have been so rude to me. I don't walk in there with most of them don't know who I am at all. Like I grew up golfing. My parents belonged to golf clubs, whatever. But I never walk into a room like commanding the room. I'm actually the one who's kind of like has a baseball hat on, my head down, or I say hi. I'm nice to people. But it is crazy in this past year since my social media has grown. Now that I walk in there, these women that have been quite not nice to me are now coming up to me and like, oh, hi, Jen. And I just think to myself, I'm like, oh gosh, I can't do this. I cannot do this.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is true. People really do. They want to judge you, be rude to you. But at the same time, if you have something that they can benefit from, they'll be your best friend.
Yep. And I know one of my companies that I sold, the day that we did the press release on like the Outdoor Wire and it went on social media, my phone stopped ringing. I called Verizon because I was like, my shit's fucked up. I haven't had a call in a day. My phone rings 80 times a day. And they're like, no, there's no outages in your area. Your phone appears to be working. I'm like, oh, I just can't stroke a check to anybody anymore. I was like, wow, I'm not popular. They just wanted something from me. And they were pretending to be my friends, hoping that they would get a sponsored check, from me at some point or whatever. So yeah,
well, they want to write a tale. They want to be in the film. They want to be the one, even if they're working for you, that's going to be able to say, hey, this is when you're like, no, this is me. You work for me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Be clear.
Yeah. And I always tell, people in those scenarios, it's like, it's okay just to be the famous camera guy. You don't have to, you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand, but and that's one of the things that I love about, my main camera girl. Her name's Leslie, by the way. But being a Marine veteran, and she's just a badass. And never in a million years was I ever thinking that one of my best friends was going to be a 5'1" Peru Salvadorian girl.
That's badass.
You know what I mean? But
so much like
she's just super cool.
With that.
Yeah, and she's just super cool, and she gets it. And her husband, they run a veteran nonprofit out of Pennsylvania. It's called Hot Heroes Outdoor Therapy, and they take veterans, either introduce them to the outdoors or get them back into the outdoors. If they're missing a limb or something like that from military. And because I think everybody, a general consensus is everybody can, whether they hate hunting or love hunting, they can understand that there is some camaraderie with the outdoors and being with your buddies and being with your friends and military brothers. And a lot of times, and that's something I do miss myself is, I do miss that camaraderie of my buddies that I used to kick indoors with and, whatnot. So it's super cool that they're able to do that. And she, and she's been a beast, in that regard. And she's never tried to be famous or popular. Her and I both look at it the same way. We were joking one day. We said, if we really played the game the way that everybody else is playing this game, we'd probably have 1 million followers. And I'm like, yep, but I'm not willing to do that because fuck them.
Well, don't sell yourself. Yeah, no, screw that. Yeah. And you're doing good. I mean, you're already like, in the community that we're in, Johnny, I think everyone's like, dude, you're going to have Johnny Utah on. Like, that guy's awesome. And I'm like, hell yeah, he is. He's a badass. Like, and guess what? He's going to be on my show and we're going to keep it real and there's no bullshit. So, and that's and I love be. Like, people don't like it. Bye. And
that's how,
there's no
how it should
voting. Be. Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad that we're able to connect. And I mean, it's so inspiring, everything that you're saying, and I'm relatable. And I really want to thank you for being so vulnerable and honest and telling me about your dad, about your family, and really all the ups and downs that you've been through. Out of all of the stories that, we've kind of gotten to share today, what do you think would be like your lowest low? Like when in your life would you say that you were kind of at your like, oh man, like, I don't know if I'm going to keep doing this, just in general, like in life, for anybody listening?
This is an easy one. So in 2019, when I had a bad financial scare, my son, he came to me with a permission slip, and it was a field trip, and you had to sign the field trip. You know what I mean? Deal for school, and you had to enclose a check for $25. And I didn't have $25. So everybody else in his school got to go on the field trip, and he had to just stay back at school and do busy work that day because I didn't have $25. And if that doesn't fucking motivate you to like get some shit figured out real quick, and the company that dicked me over in that contract, they will never, ever be forgiven for that moment. Not because of what they did to me, but what they did to my kid. And so that's always been the motivating factor for me, was that no matter what I do professionally, never, ever give someone that much power over me and my finances to where one decision they make can completely wreck my world. And so, yeah, that's why I have so many irons in the fire today, and making sure that I at least create something for myself and my family.
Well, I really love that you I'm sorry that, I mean, that's horrible as a parent. Okay. I love the fact that you're able to share that. And I'm sorry that that happened and that the company did that to you, because that's bullshit. And number two, you know, you're a good dad. And I'm sure that your son will look back at that and be like, Dad, I know it was really hard, but guess what? Like, you are freaking providing now. And like, you have showed me how to go through that tough moment where maybe it was embarrassing or whatever happened. But guess what? Like, I'm here now because of you, and you're leading by an example. And
Yeah.
I think it's those moments too where and that's why I asked that, is because it's not always pretty. I mean, people can look at a social media profile and be like, oh, wow, that person must be rich or they have their own money or whatever. But no one really knows what goes behind. And an entrepreneur, I mean, like you said, we have peaks and valleys. I mean, you could be rich one day and poor the next day. I mean, it's
Yeah.
rich dad, poor dad, right? Like,
Well, and you know, it's so crazy because in the outdoor space and through social media, everybody wants to create this persona that this is what they do for a living and they're making millions of dollars. And I've had buddies that are not quite connected and they look at it and they say, man, like, why don't you go do some work with this company or this company? Because hell, they're sponsoring thousands of people. And I'm like, do the math for a second. It looks like they're giving each one of those hunters or outdoor athletes $100,000 a year. The company only did 10 million last year in sales. Do you really think that they're sponsoring 2,000 people at 100 grand a year? I said 99% of people that are promoting products on social media, they're not actually making money to promote that product. It's just a FOMO thing. It's just they're a fake persona and they want it to look like they are.
well, and that's where the influencer, and there's nothing wrong with influencers. And I think that they can make a lot of money if they're good, especially if you started at the right time.
Yeah,
but I do think as an influencer, what I want to differentiate as why I'm making a space more for the entrepreneurial is because as an influencer, you are not building your own brand. You are building other people's brands. And so, and by definition, you are kind of like, I mean, a trafficker in a way. Like, if you think about it, I mean, you're slaving yourself, your time. You might be making 10%, but this company is making a ton of money off of you, and you're putting your name, your face, and you're probably spending money to push the content out, your time.
Yeah.
So I don't really, I collaborate with brands. I partner with people that I feel compelled and passionate about. If you ever came to me and said, hey, Jenn, I'm marketing, like, what do you do? I have no problem. I think there's enough for us to all be able to spread around and help each other. If people want to reach out and say, hey, how do I become a hunter? I hope they can find this video and come find you, and you can, help them. And if someone wants to come and say, I want to market, I want to do this, like, that's great, but like, do it for yourself, like own your own brand. Like, do not work for other, and that's a misconception. People go, oh, well, you're and it's like, okay, well, are you partnered, sponsored, or are you actually just like an affiliate marketer? And there's nothing wrong, like I said, with either of them. It just depends on how much work you want to do and where you want to draw your line in the sand. And for me, I don't want to.
I do have a lot of affiliate links that for brands that I work with, but I do such a shitty job with them. I'm horrible because one, I'm not willing to be like over the top, super douchey. I'm just like, if you want to know the shit I use, this is what I use. And I mean, if you use that code, it'll knock off like 10%, but I mean, if you buy it, that's cool. If you don't, I guess that's cool too. Whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, and collaborating and like, and that's good. I mean, it's nothing wrong with sharing an affiliate link or whatever, but it's just like, that's the difference. People get that mixed up. They're like, oh my gosh, you're affiliated with, and it's like anyone can go and get a 10% off link and put it on, like, it's not
there's no risk
deal.
There's no risk to them. If you sell, then they pay a commission. If you don't sell, they're paying nothing. So all the risk is on you. So you can get an affiliate link from anybody. And that's why I've always kept like the Johnny Utah. nickname because that is my IP. That is my brand. And even though I'm not doing the show anymore, Johnny Utah still is bringing in money from brands for me just to use their stuff, and provide content.
Multiple revenues. So like the biggest thing for like the entrepreneurial would be multiple revenues, right?
Yep.
You want to have a stream. And so
diversified portfolios.
Yeah. And if you have a few affiliate links that you're compassionate about, that you want to partner with and collab with, and I do, so that's fine. But I'm not going to sit here and sell that brand. Like I'm going to say, hey, this is the shirt I'm wearing. I freaking love it because it's comfortable. They want to send it to me and I wear it on my horseback ride. Cool. But I'm not promoting everyday content like there's no way. Like I don't have time for that. And there's no money in it for me, at least. And I don't, but so multiple revenues of income and to keep doing what you're passionate about. Like you, I mean, and don't let other people hold you back.
Yeah. I mean, on the flip side, an idea is just an idea until you can sell it. And then it's a legitimate product. And that's actually one of the things that I've worked on myself with some of the brands that come to me and they say, hey, John, we got this idea. Cool idea. Can you sell 10,000 of them? Well, I don't know. Well, if you can't, then it's a cool idea, but you got to have proof of concept that you can move, 10,000 units or 5,000 units or whatever the case may be. And I'm changing up my business strategy a little bit to where everything in my life was all promotional money, whether it was content, video. And I do have a few clients that just, hey, it's 100 photos a year. That's what they pay me for. And they're paying for X amount or whatever. And then they're like, if you could make 1 or 2 posts a year, that'd be cool. If not, we get it, but I'm actually going back to a little bit more stable W-2 job and then have my side hustle on the side.
Can I ask what you're doing?
So one of them is I became a master instructor for a company called Pepperball. So imagine, do you know what like a paintball gun is, for sport?
Yeah. I have 3 brothers and they used to say fun. And they would take BB guns and paintball guns and try to hit me.
Yeah. So if paintball and pepper spray got married and had a baby, that is essentially what Pepperball is. So it's a non-lethal, and there's a lot of less than lethal alternatives for law enforcement, but Pepperball is considered non-lethal, and you're using a Pepperball launcher that is deploying an object that has a pava powder in it, and it makes bad people, criminals, protesters, it just makes them cough. And once they get into fresh air, they stop coughing. So it's very optics friendly. It looks good. You know what I mean? It's the complete night and day difference from a stick baton, hitting somebody with a baton or something like that, right? So I've become a master instructor for Pepperball, teaching cops how to use this and effective ways of using it. And it's a lot of fun, doing that. And it's a product that I feel like is needed in today's workplace, because one, it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. It doesn't make the cops look like they're a bunch of barbarians. You know what I mean? And
we can normalize it a little bit. I think you and I can keep it real. This is crazy what's going on, but I also feel like there's probably not enough police that are willing to. You probably say it better than me. From my personal perspective, the way people are now, I would not want to be a police officer because I think everyone is so scared and their rights. Like I have this right to do that and whatever. And as a law enforcement officer, people can do some crazy shit and they get away with it now. Where back in the day, I feel like that stuff would not fly. And I do think that that's a great idea. If you can like release something in the air that's going to kind of like calm a situation down without having to use that type of force and put everyone in danger.
Yeah, not just bad guys, but cops. Nobody.
Yeah, I mean, I think
nobody
it's
gets hurt.
I'm all about that.
Yep. So this is a company that started out of California. They've been in business a really long time. But I always say it takes Democrats to sell guns. And what I mean by that is when Democrats are getting power and they talk about taking guns away, it just makes everybody else go out to the store and buy more guns before they get taken away. So, you know what I mean? So,
well, and tell us who would be the ones that would be left with the guns if they did.
It would just be criminals. That's if you take guns away from good people, the only people that have guns are bad people because they didn't buy them from the store in the first damn place. They bought them off the street or out of the back of somebody's car. So there's no record of anything there. So,
and you being an FBI working with them, and I know we are going a lot longer than we anticipated, but just to clear this up, since you are law enforcement or were, and you have the background, in order for somebody like myself, I'm an owner of several guns and I use them when I ride. I'm sure as you're aware, in Arizona, we have a lot of wildlife. And so they've released a bunch of the black wolves around here. So we've had wolves coming down. There's construction building. There's coyotes coming out, bobcats. And I've definitely also, it is a dry camping state. So anybody can camp anywhere in Arizona. So being a female riding with 4 or 5 other females, if you go 10, 15 miles back in the backcountry, you can run into some scary shit. Not to mention, horse could spook, whatever. So I'm a huge believer in caring for sure. And I do. And what I had to go through and the process that is normal to own a gun is to have a clearance done. And can you just explain that process really quick? Because I don't think people understand that. I think they think, oh, anybody has a gun, and that's not correct.
No. So anytime you go to purchase a firearm, you go in and you fill out a form, and then that form, all that information is called in. So it's basically a background check that essentially gets done on everybody. And there are things in your file, and people said, oh, well, this guy, he's had all these mental issues, but no one ever reported it. If it's not reported, then it doesn't get put in there. You know what I mean? So it is a screen that is done. It takes less of a screen to go get Sudafed, and you can make meth with Sudafed from behind the counter. You know what I mean? So, they're not just handing out guns willy-nilly to everybody. Like, you have to go fill out the paperwork, and they do a background check on you. And, people say, oh, well, there needs to be more of a background check. Fine. No legal citizen is complaining about that. The only people that are complaining about background checks are the people that have a shitty background. You know what I mean? But
well, I mean, I probably don't want a felon or somebody that is not going to be accountable or even know how to use a weapon. And this is where I stand on that. I think that we should be able to have them personally, and that's my opinion. And anyone can come for me, but I grew up knowing we had a huge gun room, probably bigger than most people's basements, full of, AK-50. You name it. We had a ranch, a big ranch. So we had boas, we had cannons, we had all of it. We just grew up. Like, we had the throwing stars, the ninja star. All of it growing up, real stuff. And, I was taught how to shoot and how to do it all. But I also knew, probably when I was my kids' age, and they're 6, like, if you see a freaking gun, you don't effing touch it. Nope. Like, that was like, if you even tried to touch it, it was like you would get your ass kicked, like, you just didn't do that. So I do think that my concern is with the safety issue with guns is not the fact that we have them. It's also the fact that there are more school shootings, things like that. And I think that it probably stems from people not being as educated. So I do think there should be more education, because that would probably eliminate some of the stuff that's going on. But yeah, I mean, I think that what you're saying is 100% accurate as far as the rights, and that there should be probably more clearance done. If I agree with that. Fine.
Yep. And, and the other part of it too is anytime, this is probably open up a Pandora's box here, but, anytime you look at the school shootings, never once is it, no, that kid was totally normal, never had any issues, went to church, played sports, had chores to do at home. That's never a thing. It's always, yeah, he was the weird shit. He was the odd kid and went undetected, never got the help. That's the part that I hate seeing a constant theme, or, this kid was in the middle of transitioning or whatever the case may be. There is something that was going on so that's it, but it's the gun's fault. Well, have we ever sued McDonald's? No. If a person gets fat from eating McDonald's, it's the person's fault. They need to put the fork down. But McDonald's made the food. Why aren't we? Because it's not McDonald's fault. It's not same as it's not the gun's fault. Spoiler alert: guns just don't go off on their own. Well, there was that one SIG 320 that they had some issues with or whatever, but that was an isolated incident. But
I have accidentally dropped a gun though, like being out, and have it shoot off, and I'm like, oh shoot, it ricocheted, and I've had a piece like ricochet, not the gun, but the bullet, but I've had a ricochet come and hit me back and go, oh shoot, you know, and that's just user error. I mean, that's like anything. You're gonna ride a horse, you can get kicked in the face, you know, like shit happens. Like, I mean, you have to take ownership of like whatever you do, but I mean, I think if you have general safety and you're like can clear a test, I think that and it depends on what you're using them for too. But I mean, I mean, you're right. We could talk for like hours on this.
Yeah, and especially when they say a DUI, we didn't blame the alcohol, we blame the driver. The driver's the one that goes to jail. They didn't arrest the can of beer. So, but if it involves a gun, it's always the gun's fault. It's never this weird shit kid that had a whole bunch of mental stuff going on that hopefully someday gets sorted out in a medical facility, or you know what I mean? And they can help this kid out. But instead it was the gun's fault. The gun made him do it.
Well, you have three children. So I'm gonna backtrack it real quick to this, but did you ever have, like, because of your career and then afterwards being into hunting and things like that, did your kids ever have friends and people that were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe your dad? I mean, how did that affect them, I guess? Like,
we never left, and still today never leave guns just laying around the house, stuff like that. Just because they're friends, they have friends that stop by and stuff like that. So we practice gun safety in that regard. But all of my kids, they know what guns are. They know about firearms safety. They know how to shoot them. My daughter, she's like, I'll probably never own a gun. But she wanted to know how to use one just in case she ever had to. And also, it's if my idea isn't to drive a car, I still want to know how a car starts, and her thing also in that was, I don't ever want to be a victim of gun violence. If I see a gun, I want to have a general understanding of what they do, how, a person has to point, they have to aim, they got to pull a trigger. I know that it's going to take time to reload. She wanted to understand all the mechanics, of guns, even though, like I said, she's very adamant about not wanting to own a gun. But she's been to the range with me. She's shot a good majority of my guns. So
I bet she's a good shot too, huh?
Well, there's no bad habits to break. Same as my wife is a hell of an archery bow shot. There was no bad habits to break with her, and she's like Katniss from Hunger Games. It's ridiculous, you know what I mean? And that's the big thing. And again, to make this a full circle thing about the hunting, I could care less if somebody is anti-hunting, but let's not be anti-smart. Like, I don't care if somebody chooses to not hunt. That's fine. There's hunters and there's gatherers. I don't care which one you are, but at least respect it and know what it is and be intelligent and know what it is, not just some AI generated bullshit video that somebody saw and they're like, oh, all hunters are pieces of shit. Where's the fact-based information on that? You know what I mean?
Well, I can't imagine, like, just right now in Mexico, what's going on in Mexico with the cartel and stuff. But
it's horrible.
I'm seeing so much like AI, and I'm like, so what's real and what's not real?
You almost can't tell it apart.
You know, and everyone's like, oh, the whole state or the whole, country. And it's like, oh gosh, here we go. Yeah. All right. What's this going to turn into? But I mean, it's crazy and it's super sad. And I feel like, people, if they were able to like arm themselves and protect themselves, hopefully they'll never have to. And that's not the point of having one, but it is a sport. I think that it's something that people should know, like you said, know how to use them, even if they don't have them. But the biggest thing too, as a female, if I'm by myself and I have to protect my kids and someone tries to break into my house,
100%.
Which there have been some scary, I'm sorry, but a baseball bat or like a salt gun is not going to do anything. If somebody's coming in, you better believe that I'm not going to miss. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, I'm sorry. But when you have, and also like, you need to know how to dismantle a gun too. That's what I was taught. It was like, if someone's ever pointing a gun at your face, you need to know how to grab it and dismember that quick, or change the direction so you can get it out of their hands. So there's just so many like defense, and you do the jiu-jitsu and stuff too. So that's really cool. And I think that's important.
And this is not a sexist thing. By and large, the majority of women, if they wanted to swing a bat at me, I'm going to take the bat from them. And most guys will. You know what I mean? And again, it's not a sexist thing. It's science. You know what I mean? I know there's some women that can kick the shit out of me.
100. I'm 120. So you've got 100 pounds on me.
Right.
You've got more knowledge. You're big. Just genetically.
That's what I'm saying. It's just science based.
I might be able to hurt you, but you're still going to overpower me, right? And
I love when I hear about women that are learning to get their carry conceal permits and they're becoming proficients in firearms. I'm like, I love it because that's the equalizer. You know what I mean? A guy's 300 pounds, a girl's 100 pounds. This guy's a beast. He knows jujitsu and he's a bad character. Now he's a bad actor and he wants to attack this woman. And this woman that's 100 pounds with a pistol, she just leveled the playing field on his ass. And I love it. And I think it's great. And I think more women should be proficient in firearms and feel comfortable. No one should ever feel uncomfortable or unsafe doing anything in this world that they want to do. And so I love it from that aspect. I just love anybody, man, woman, anybody gaining personal confidence. With personal confidence, a person can accomplish anything they want to do, especially our youth right now. Kids do not have that savage beast in them anymore. It's very rare to see that. And it starts from the parents. Parenting is not just teaching them to do laundry and make their bed and to be a good person. It's also teaching them to be a badass. And
you got to toughen them up
more
a
of
little
that.
bit.
Yeah, and we need more of that going on today. And I tell my kids all the time, and I'm like, be a tough son of a bitch, and life will always be easy for you. So
yeah, I love that. I mean, we have twins and they're twins, right? So I had them, held them in as long as I could, but I had them a little early. They're full term for twins, but
yeah,
gratefully, thankfully, knock on wood, they've been good. But one of them has a little bit of a speech impediment, and we're working on that. But he kind of gets teased sometimes, and so my husband and I tell him, we're like, hey, don't let anybody make fun of you.
Jiu-jitsu.
And we tell his
Put
brother,
him in
and
jiu-jitsu.
I tell Jonah, his brother, I said, Jonah, if Micah's ever getting punked, you number one, or any kid in your school, and I don't care if it's your brother or not, you number one, you stick up for that kid, always go for the underdog, and you never, ever, ever let anybody pick on your brother.
Yeah.
And he has had instances on the bus, and my husband has like taught him how to like pack a punch and like do things, because we are big believers that, you know, boys will be boys and let them be like that. I mean, we don't want to be bullies and stuff, but you want to be able to teach your kids to like, you know, wrong and right and to defend themselves. So I love that. And I think jiu-jitsu, all of it is important. Yeah. So ending it out, what is the highest point? Like what's the best thing that has happened to you from start to finish in your life today?
Wow, that is loaded. Okay, I'm going to do it in two parts. Number one is when I had my first child, because that was the first time in my life that I realized I wasn't the most important person in the world. That was a very strong, pivotal moment for me. And then the other big thing was having my kids individually in their own way, of saying it. They just said, Dad, you're a badass. So,
love that.
You know, I was able to set myself apart and say, no, I'm not the most important person in the world, but I am going to lead by example. And then to have the follow up, have that come full circle, that they were like, Dad, you're a badass. And I'm like, my job is complete. I did my job. You know what I mean?
Isn't that the best feeling when your kids like approve, like they look up to you? I mean, that's the most humbling, like if there's anything, and the kid and your kids too. And they're, like you said, there's nothing more disappointing than having your kids like actually know something's wrong.
Yeah.
Too, like what you were mentioning earlier. So I'm really grateful you came on the show.
Thank you very much.
We're able to come on the podcast. It was so great talking with you and getting to know you more. And can you just let everybody know where they can find you? And I'll link all your information as well.
Yeah. So the most active location for me is definitely going to be Instagram. It's johnny.utah.hunt. I'm a meme lord. I'm always good to throw out some good funny memes, you know, throughout the day. But that's the most common place to find me. And then from there, there's a link tree. So, you know, they can access any of the other stuff that I got going on, but that's the main one.
All right. Well, Johnny Utah, you certainly hold up to your name. I'm really happy that you were able to come on the podcast today and keep it real with me. And I'm really excited to talk to you, and I'm hoping that you'll come back on maybe in, you know, end of the year, and we can kind of talk and see where you're at and where you're at with your, what was it? The blasting?
With the pepper ball?
The pepper ball. Yeah. The pepper ball, and kind of and give me an update on everything. But thank you so much. And I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I'm really honored to have you on the podcast.
Well, I appreciate it very much. And I'm anxious to see how everything goes as you continue to build this out. And obviously very supportive. So yeah, whenever you get this episode up, I'll be sure to get it shared across all of my platforms, and we'll see if we can get some love coming your way.
All right. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
You do the same.
Thank you. All right. Bye.
Bye.
This episode is brought to you by Royal Reach Digital, where SEO meets AI to grow your business. Thank you so much for listening and spending time with me. As always, keep it real, and see you next week.